News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
Brought to you by The Minimalist Bed and Breakfast. At The Minimalist Bed and Breakfast, we embrace the concept of less is more, which is why our policy is to give you less, but charge you more. Each of our tastefully appointed rooms features nothing but an air mattress, a flashlight, and a roll of toilet paper. Don't let worldly distractions ruin your family getaway. Check in to The Minimalist Bed and Breakfast today.
I know where I'm going next week, Alan.
I was going, aren't you already booked there?
Oh, man. Yeah, I've paid for some high-class places, and I think I wound up at the Minimalist accidentally. But welcome to Tool Talk Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning.
I'm Alan Gilbreth with GeekySideTV.com.
And that, of course, was our good buddy Kelly Cruz with another great sponsor. Wow. She never misses. She's always got it going on. You can call. We try to have it going on here at Tool Talk. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989 and tell us what you got going on. You know, we do like to hear from people, so.
We love to get especially text and pictures.
Yeah, they work. Speaking of...
Yeah, we like to know what your trials and tribulations are. We want to know what the job is you're looking at. And better yet, we like to see the outcome.
Absolutely. So, hey, speaking of things we like seeing posted, Alan, I posted a little video. We're going to, Halloween is right around the corner, which
I hadn't noticed.
Your favorite time of year. And I visited the big box store recently, and, there's a lot of options for decorating your house for Halloween. And so this is Alan's wheelhouse. So we're going to talk about Halloween options. Alan, we still haven't got to our mini dozer segment. So we promised today we're going to do that. Alan, this is something that I'm, surprisingly people, Alan, I give him a lot of grief, but he's actually a pretty good person. Volunteering your skills for a good cause. It's more fun than you think.
It is indeed.
If you're a carpenter or if you're somebody that knows how to work with your hands, there's a lot of good ways you can.
If you just want to help, you don't even really need to bring a skill set. Just bring a good attitude.
Yeah, it's fun, and so we're going to talk about that. We've got our must-have item of the week, and then later in the show, we're bringing in a special guest, Bud, from Motormouth Radio.
Ooh, I can't wait.
It's launching today.
I can't wait.
That's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's going to be a lot of overlap because fixing your car is not unlike, fixing your house.
Let's face it, all three of us spend a lot of time in the garage.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and we've got lots of other surprises. So it's all coming at you today on Tool Talk Radio. But before we get to any of that.
And now, Tool Talk Radio's weekly salute.
Here on the planet Earth, every being in this world has a powerful impulse to protect what is important to them. In the realm of wildlife, a mother grizzly bear will sacrifice her very life in order to protect the lives of her cubs. Speaking of the cubs, in the realm of baseball, Wrigley Field is universally regarded as the world's most beautiful baseball park. So the team's owners have worked hard to protect the stadium by spending millions of dollars a year on its maintenance and beautification. And, of course, in the realm of dubious individuals, Alan Gilbreth has been careful to soundproof the walls in his private laboratory in order to protect his neighbors from the nightmare-inducing sounds emanating from within as he continues working out the kinks on an experiment which he is convinced is going to win him the Nobel Prize in Animal Husbandry when he finally unveils his new species of yodeling tarantulas. I don't even want to hear the...
They're pretty good now. We can actually get a 3-part harmony going.
And in the realm of manual labor, it's always a good idea to protect your body from injury, especially those areas of the body that are the most vulnerable, such as your feet. Throughout the course of history, many types of safety footwear have been developed, all with varying degrees of success. In the mid-1930s, however, a new type of footwear was introduced that proved to be so effective that workers all over the world continue to keep their feet protected with them even today. My friends, we give you the steel toe shoe.
Yay!
Well, I've got a couple pairs of those, Alan. How about you?
Yeah, I've had one or two. So,
well, the one of the reasons I picked this, Alan, is we here at Tool Talk we celebrate the everyday, and sometimes you learn more about the history than you bargained for. But one of the things I love about the history. So let's just first off say the Red Wing Shoe Company developed this in the 1930s, and it's pretty straightforward. I don't think we have to discuss the specifics of the steel toe shoe. You put a heavy piece of metal in the front. But what's cool about
and
it,
when you
Alan,
accidentally drop a hammer, it
Yeah.
doesn't whack the toe.
Right.
Yes.
But these go back to wooden shoes in Europe. I couldn't find dates for these because they go back quite a ways. But like farmers would wear wooden shoes to protect their feet from they're stepping on things that could be dangerous or
Or how about that cow stepping back on your toes?
right,
Yeah.
livestock. But what I learned, which is super interesting, is the word sabotage was connected to the wooden shoe. Apparently, back during the early Industrial Revolution, workers used these. They were called sabots, these shoes, and they would throw them into the gears of the factories to stop the production.
Yep.
I guess they were, I don't know, what were those guys, communists or something? But I don't
Well,
know.
no, it was the end of a 16-hour day. They were ready to go home. So you chucked a couple of shoes in the gears,
Right.
and while they had to fish them out, you went home, went to bed.
So sabotage comes from a wooden shoe. Super
Yes.
interesting. And of course, I can't miss out on mentioning everybody in the 80s and 90s that was into Gothic music like me wore the steel toe
Oh, yeah.
boots. And that was just part of the Gothic uniform.
Y'all all had
basically.
cockroach stompers.
Hey,
Yep.
well, we took care of it. But anyway, hats off to the steel toe shoe. Anyway, hey, Alan, this is good. What we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back, and we promise we're going to talk about the mini dozer. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio on News Talk 98.9 The Roar. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
You've got paper and you've got paint. A deadly combination! Let me show you.
News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, go to our Tool Talk Radio Facebook page. Check out, I've already posted the must-have item of the week, Alan. I've already posted video of our actual video of my nearest big box store with their Halloween offerings. that we're
Your
gonna
front
discuss
yard
later.
adventures. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Alan, I've been meeting some people that listen to the show and everything, and they're like, well, I was going to call in, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to ask you about. Well, you don't have to ask us a question. You may want to call and brag. You may want to text us. Texts are good. We kind of like text.
Call us out on something.
Yeah.
Lord knows there's enough stuff to call us out on.
Yeah, you may say Alan makes too many cooking references, or I make too many Cubs references, or something. So
Those are
fair
just too
game.
obvious, dude.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, Alan. We've been teasing this the last few weeks, and fair game. We've been just busy. We get
Right.
a lot of content here. We never slow down. But we were talking about these mini dozers, which people might wonder, well, what are these things? And let's talk about it. There's all sorts of options out there in terms of
All right,
mini landscape equipment, you could say.
Driving through a neighborhood in Memphis, and I guess probably 8 weeks ago now. I'm driving along, and I swung by, and there was a little mini Tonka truck version of a backhoe.
Oh yeah.
And it was like you couldn't even sit in it; you had to ride on the back of it. And
that is I've seen that one. Yeah.
it
cool.
was so cute. I had to stop and take pictures. It was just like, oh my gosh! All it is honestly, it is big kid Lego toys.
It is.
However, the team that had it was redoing a line.
This is the digging one.
They had a little thing, and it was trenching. Man, they were making a trench. They were moving along just fine. Cooking along quickly, and it just kind of struck me how much everybody lights up around heavy equipment.
Right.
'Cause
even kids, and it's not just boys, but even girls. There's something about toy trucks and toy bulldozers. It's just something primal.
Yeah. Notice I went nowhere near gender because trust me, everybody wants to play with one of these things.
Right.
Now I've used a Skiff Loader about 1 million times in my life, and that's an exaggeration, I know, but I've used them a lot. And basically, it's a tiny little bulldozer. And it doesn't drive like a car. It's got the shift handles, and you raise and lower your
it's
bucket.
like a gear on either side of the seats.
Yes, I mean, you're busy on both sides. You're working, and once you get your rhythm, and you kind of get the feel for it, and this is just one of those like a forklift or any other piece of heavy equipment. Once you kind of know how it's going to drive, how it's going to lift, progressively during the day, you start out kind of shaky.
Right.
And like an hour later, you are having the time of your life.
Yeah. I wanted to weigh in on that because I haven't used this stuff nearly as much as you have, Alan. But when I was in the missions about 20-something years ago, we were building we were assembling a playground. You know how nowadays it's more or less assembled. And back then the big thing was like these sort of what are these, like foam / something? They're like not wooden chips. They're like those there's some sort of material so when the kid jumps in it, they don't hurt their ankle or something. It's a cushion. Well, the dump truck dumped an entire load of this stuff, so it had to be spread around. So we had this mini kind of bulldozer with a scoop and everything.
Yep, you had a skiff loader.
Skiff loader. And I got to use that. So basically I would pick up a load, move it over to a place, and then if some people with rakes would spread it evenly and everything. Well, like you said, the first time I got in it, for about the first 10 minutes, it was jerking in ways that were a little unsettling. Because I'm like, ooh, am I going to tip over? Or, ooh, did I just knock something over? But, man, once you get into that groove, it made an impact on me. And I'm like, I will say it's one of these things, if you need that little kickstart to be interested in working with tools or working with construction or something, these are kind of gateway experiences. So
and it was I also find it very funny that if you have a job site and you're trying to talk people into coming to work, or you're trying to get I find it's the greatest bait in the world.
Oh yeah.
And go,
you get to do a shift on the mini dozer,
and we're going to fill in that, and your voice lowers as you lower your head, and you look at me and go, we're going to fill in that trench today, and suddenly everybody's like, ooh, we get to drive we get to play with the backhoe, or we get to play with the mini dozer.
You text them a picture and say, this is what we're going to be using today, and if you behave yourself, you might have a shot at it.
And then of course you always have your first timers that and it's just part of the game. You just got to go, all right. Have you ever driven one of these before? Nuh-uh. You want to learn?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And whoop, into they go. Next thing you know, their pictures are up all over Facebook that they're driving the mini dozer. And I was thinking this was one of those $1 million, $1 billion ideas till I looked it up online, and I found out there is already a theme park out there that is nothing but mid-size heavy equipment for grown-ups. So
it's a theme park.
You too can go pay to go push stuff around with a mini dozer, or to go pay to dig a hole, or to go pay. And I looked at that and I went, this place has got to be booked for like years in advance. I could just picture somebody's 50th birthday party. What do you want to do? I want to go play with a backhoe and just
so you can use. That sounds like a great idea. I'm just wondering. I guess and the thing is, these aren't that dangerous. I mean, as long as you're not battling each other and trying to have dozer battles.
Yeah, I don't think you should be playing dozer soccer with these things, but the actual amount of work that when we moved into the Industrial Revolution, and I was watching the battle. There was a little TV show on history about the battle about tractors.
Okay.
And Henry Ford was all about building the perfect tractor.
Yeah, because what did they do before that? It was horse.
I mean, you had a horse, and you had a plow, and you had a whole lot of people. And he really wanted to build the perfect tractor. He even went so far as to defy all of his investors and opened a second company called Fordson.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And actually built the Fordson tractor for the everyday small farmer to give them a fighting chance against the people buying these giant, machines that were steam powered. I mean, we're talking like 1905 here.
Yeah, I mean.
And when I was watching the evolution of this, and it was talking about the minute you had this piece of equipment, whether it was the commercial mower or the rower or the harvester, that your farm went from 500 acres to 5,000 acres.
Well, I was about to say it actually is brilliant, Alan, because I was thinking from a business standpoint, okay, it's great because it does help farmers. However, if you're a farmer and the guy over there across the way suddenly got this dozer, well, you've got to have one because now you're behind the competition. It's kind of like these days.
You can't compete.
You can't do business if you don't own a smartphone. I mean, I'm sorry, you just can't do it. So it's like if you're the one selling the smartphone, or if you're the one selling the bulldozer, boy, that's a good business model.
Well, and
right there.
there's the one guy that was really, really working on this big, giant steam-powered transport, and he finally got it to work. And he's standing there, and his buddy looks at him and goes, "Man, that thing crawls like a caterpillar." And all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, that's," and then, you fast forward to just right after World War II, and now we have the Eisenhower Project, and a massive amount of development that went into heavy equipment, because now we were going to build a roadway.
Yeah.
Literally all over the nation. We were going to connect every major city.
Yeah.
And wow.
No, pretty awesome. So, and I think we may wrap up with this when we come back, Alan, but good stuff. But you know what else is good stuff? When your HVAC goes out and you need to call somebody and you need quick service and you need it done right. If that's your situation, because we're still in the middle, it's September, but it's not going anywhere for a little while.
It's not cold yet, y'all.
Get in touch with the good people at Brown Refrigeration. They can take care of all of your HVAC needs. What I love, especially this time of year, now that we're getting into the fall with the pollen and everything, are the clean air systems, the Remy Halo.
Remy Halos.
It helps combat against the Delta variant, all these different viruses. It basically cleans the air with these particulates that land on your furniture and everything, and basically cleans. Imagine little scrubbers and stuff. And of course, they're smart home technology, and they're just good people and super reliable. In fact, I have a phone call to make to Larry Brown later. So get in touch with the good people at Brown Refrigeration at 901-362-1881, or go to their website, brownref.com. Alan, I'm really digging these. The mini dozer, though, I will say, from my experience, it was a very memorable experience, and especially if you got a young person, or if you if you just need to
if you've never driven one, folks, I mean, it's something you'll remember.
Absolutely. So something we hope you'll remember too is to remember to decorate your house for Halloween. We've got some tips coming up here on Alan's Halloween Corner. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
Gonna paint your wagon, gonna paint it fine. Gonna use oil-based paint, cause the wood is pine.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV, and our buddy Max Million, the producer behind the glass, who's bringing us all sorts of great tips coming in. Alan, I debate that. He said he's using oil-based paint because it's pine. Latex is okay for that. Although I will say there is a lot of sap in pine, and the oil base will help prevent it from bleeding through, so maybe he's got a point.
Well, yeah, but if it's exterior, then the oil's going to mold.
Okay.
So, you
definitely don't use it outside.
I need to know whether it's inside or outside.
We need more specifics, Max, from that. But anyway, you can call if you want to weigh in on the oil base over prime debate. Call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, or go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and weigh in over there. Well, one thing we've weighed in on already, if you go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page, Alan, is I've already posted a video of my local big box store and some of their Halloween offerings. And we thought, hey, this is home improvement, right? I mean, this is a big part. Decorating your home 2 or 3 times a year for these big holidays is a big deal. And there's so many new options these days. So we thought it'd be fun to talk about some of the Halloween options out there.
Well, it's a little curb appeal. It's a little time to kind of really showcase, play with the yard a little bit. have a little fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So
it's more than just Christmas lights these days.
I want to start off with this, Alan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm looking at you. I'm waiting.
Well, okay, most of us have been to the big box stores, and you see some of the new, especially like inflatable options, or you see the lasers and stuff. One thing I think that my one beef, I will say, in my neighborhood is, I think you need to be very creative with incorporating it into your own landscape. Like sometimes I'm looking at people at the houses, and I'm like, they've got these great decorations, but I'm like, if you would just position this up in that tree like 10 feet, you've got this great kind of place where like maybe the pumpkin is peeking out through there, or maybe the ghost is flying down from whatever. Like, I mean, I think be a little more creative with your own landscaping and with your own design that you've got going on at your house. It adds to the mystique. Don't just stick them in the front of the yard and line them up, perfectly neat or something. So,
all right, my advice is going to be a little more utilitarian.
Okay.
I'm going to say, all right, a lot of these things require power.
Well, good point. Pretty much all of them these days.
Pretty much. Well, most of it doesn't, but a lot of these things require power. So here's where I'm going to start my holiday campaign early. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there are power supplies and there are extension cords designed to go outside and some designed to go inside.
Oh, I know.
Please do not get these mixed up.
Yeah, we're going to get that story, aren't we, Alan, of the 56-foot things connected together?
Yeah, well, let's pay attention to the power needs of what you're doing. Yeah. We don't want to be throwing a lot of breakers. We don't want to melt your lines, and we certainly don't want to set your house on fire.
Yeah, so if you've got an inside light that don't run it along the ground, don't
right.
Yeah, it's going to get wet. Even if it doesn't rain, it's going to get mist.
Let's stick with the outdoor stuff. And, if it's getting a little old and it's getting a little ratty, let's make sure that we go ahead and replace it. Really, honestly, people, we want to have a lot of fun with this, but we definitely want to be safe.
Yeah, okay. All right, we got the safety out of the way, Alan. Let's talk style.
Now, here we go. Okay. Wow. Well, that's all I got to say is, all right, well, we've always had the seasonal stores that pop up, right?
Sure.
And with the seasonal stores, it was kind of fun. You went in and, well, they're not the only ones doing that now, because now a lot of your hardware stores are getting into the action. A lot of your landscaping, the folks that have got nurseries, they're getting into the ball game.
Right.
So decorating for Halloween is now more than a couple of hay bales and some corn stalks.
Oh, fair warning too, people. Rats like to eat hay bales, so just keep that in mind. We found that out the hard way, Alan. They
all right.
They snuck into our garage one time through a little gap because we had hay bales in the garage, and we quickly learned that's not a good thing to do. So.
Okay, I had a coworker at a facility come over to me absolutely horrified in the spring. It was springtime. They had just installed one of those doorbells that had the video camera on it.
Oh, yeah.
And it had gone off at 3 o'clock in the morning, like somebody had walked up to their door, and it recorded the video. Well, what it recorded was the bottom side of a rat climbing up the side of the building.
Yeah.
And of course, she is just absolutely mortified. There's a rat climbing the side of my building.
Right.
And I will say this was no mouse.
No.
This was a serious, by the length of time and everything it took to go by, she was completely grossed out. So I said, well, let me tell you what's going on. You have something above there that it wants.
Yeah.
So what have you got? She goes, well, the only thing we have in the attic is like our decorations. Oh, what kind of decorations?
Yeah.
Well, we put the Halloween decorations up there.
There you go.
And bang. And all of a sudden she looked horrified and she goes, we have piles of corn stalks. And I went,
there you go.
You had piles of corn stalks.
Right. So yeah, don't make rat bait for your
don't invite the critters into the house with you.
I had another thing with this, Alan, and I guess my thing is being I don't know if this is being more organic or whatever, but we always talk about the importance of lighting on this show. And I'm a big fan of if you're going to do something for Halloween, maybe you position spotlights in such a way where you're, suddenly casting big shadows.
yes.
And creating effects that way. Like I like where it almost looks natural that way. So if I'm picturing you cast a big shadow, and then you, like I said, you position maybe the skeleton peeking around from with its light up eyes or something from around the tree, so it's lurking out of there. And I like to just be very creative with the positioning of things. I guess Max wanted to weigh in, so.
Well, kind of speaking of lighting, it makes me think of a fond childhood memory. So back at my old house, or my first house, we had pumpkins outside the front yard, and I have a very fond memory of there being what I call pumpkin slugs. And so I was wondering how I might be able to deter said critters from entering into my jack-o'-lanterns.
Okay, actually, I have an answer for that. You need to nip down to the gardening section, and they actually have a snail and slug bait or granules that you can put around your pumpkins that will encourage said small cephalopods to go somewhere else and or die.
They're not going to burn them alive, are they? Because the way they get rid of slugs, I think, is very mean. They pour salt on them.
Well, but you can salt the area around it so that they can't get to your pumpkin.
Okay, I don't mind slugs, but I mean, I don't want them necessarily all over my.
You don't want them all over your pumpkins, but
right,
if you're going to put out fresh pumpkins and you're going to have them carved, yes, the nighttime critters will like to munch on them.
Pumpkin slugs.
Pumpkin slugs. That's going to be a new one, man. I got that one.
Pumpkin slugs is the new name for my band, Alan.
Absolutely.
Of course, that's what I was waiting for you to say.
Yeah. One thing we should mention too, just be careful what you clip to your house or nail to your house, especially don't go nailing things into your roof. I feel like we've driven this home pretty well, but
do not penetrate the shingles ever.
And don't do anything that's going to disrupt with your gutters. The gutters are not a bad thing to clip things to if you do it carefully. But
just don't yank them down.
Well, I was about to say don't clip the 50-pound skeleton.
Right.
Right.
Don't have it pull the side of your house off. Right.
One thing too, Alan. Where do you fall on fog machines?
And I'm not a big fan of, I've been in too many commercial buildings where somebody's tried to do something cute with the fog machine.
Right.
And has very cutely set off how should we say, the fire suppression systems in the buildings.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't do that. I think there's plenty going on. I think it's cute. I've used them in theaters and stuff like that before, but
yeah.
Honestly, for just everyday stuff, not a big fan. I do like the new water atomizers, though.
Talk to me.
Well, instead of just the fog machine with the fog oil and stuff that has kind of a smell to it, they now have basically commercial vape machines that produce water vapor.
Okay, I guess that's the part I kind of don't like, Alan. I've always thought of if it's not perfectly clean or something. I guess regardless, don't go walking through it. Don't let your kids walk through a bunch of fog. It's probably not the best thing to bring
again,
in.
not a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about vaping and stuff, and that's not good. So you don't want your kids you don't want to start your kids vaping, accidentally.
I don't think that's the issue, but I don't want to be atomizing, pond water and blowing that on people.
Right. Okay. Well, we got a few other tips to discuss here, or a few other
Oh,
pointers,
we got some more stuff to go through.
And we'd love to hear what you've got in mind for this, but you're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9 The Roar. We're going to take a quick break, talk a little bit more about Halloween decorations, and then bring you our must-have item of the week.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan. News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. And, of course, if you just woke up and you've missed any of Tool Talk Radio, never fear. You can always go back and listen to any of our past shows at tooltalkradio.com. And, of course, we'd love you to join us at the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page as well. Give us a like and share your home improvement adventures with us. If you're just tuning in, Alan and I have been talking, among other things, about all the Halloween options out there. We're gonna continue that discussion in a moment. But, Alan, before we do, I want to remind everybody, this is a tricky time in real estate.
Yes, it is.
It is like Mad Max out there. It's the Thunderdome.
Oh.
Getting a house, it's no longer just buying a house. You have to win your house.
Yes.
Because if you're a seller, you got it made. But if you're a buyer, it's competitive. So you need somebody that can help you with that. And we have just the good people at Weichert Realtors Benchmark. Quick, easy, and fun. That's the approach. They want everybody that comes in to basically have that experience. It is quick, for one thing, because they do it all under there. It's a one-stop shop. You can get qualified, financed, and underwritten all in one place. They'll help you find the house. They'll help give you tips for winning your house, that's the key, Alan, the winning strategy.
Yeah, do you really, really want it? Then you need somebody to help you get, the paperwork in order. And, the big thing is a lot of people get tired of trying to buy real estate because you have to go to so many different places.
That's the problem. You might have to go to 2 or 3 or 4
Three
places.
or 4 different organizations. And at Benchmark, they are literally a one-stop shop.
Yeah, so get in touch with them, and they're good people. Rick Bowman, the owner over there, he's a friend of mine too, but I've known him for 20-something years. He's the only one we go to. Kelly Cruz, who, among other things, we love Kelly Cruz over there, but also Brandy Merrick.
Oh yeah,
she's the top producer in the country right now. So very experienced people, and it's a lot of fun. So get over there. You can give them a call at 901-202-2000. And that's I bet you people don't even have to write that one down.
You like that number.
202-2000. Weichert Realtors Benchmark. Good people over there. All right, Alan, we were talking. I feel like we've been a little bit, with the cautionary tales and a little bit of, doom and gloom with these Halloween decorations. But there's a lot of fun out there. And there are options we didn't have growing up. I want to talk about one, Alan. There's all these motion activated, like characters. One in particular I love is there's this little 2-foot tall skeleton that he's usually hanging from your porch or something. And when you walk up, it's motion activated, and his eyes light up, and he starts talking to you. And it's usually kind of like insult the comic dog or whatever. He makes fun of the way you look, or he makes fun of you. And I love that one. But Alan, there's all sorts of motion-activated animatronic characters out there.
And I'm going to point out they have year-round ramifications.
Talk to me.
Because here we go. This is just one of those goofy things where the video I saw came out of Pennsylvania a few years ago. A guy got tired of something knocking over his trash cans. Right?
I know where this is going.
So he sets up a trail cam and discovers, much to his shock, it's a bear. And the bear is
the
knocking
Northwest,
over. It's a thing,
stuff.
And I'm like, all right, well, this ain't like a little raccoon you're going to go out there and shoo off with a broom.
Right.
It's a bear, And everybody goes, well, it's just a black bear. And I'm like, I don't care. It's a bear.
Just a black bear.
All right, so it's not a massive grizzly trying to maul your family, but it's a bear, guys.
Yeah.
So what he did was he took a couple of those Halloween clowns that jumped up and down and giggled, and he strapped them to the backside of the trash can and set up a trail cam, and here came the bear. And the second he stuck his head around and that clown got him in view, it starts like, he didn't have a bear problem anymore. So I have expounded upon this, and I have discovered that this works on neighbors, raccoons, squirrels,
Porch
cats.
pirates, maybe?
It worked. Anything where people don't expect this to go off, including porch pirates. If you're not, now the problem with that is it gets the mailman too.
Oh,
you got to be careful with that.
Yeah,
but if you've got a spot where you're afraid something's trying to get in or looking through a window, or a neighborhood pet is trying to dig under a fence, you add a motion activated device in the right spot, and it will scare the bejesus out of whatever it is that goes walking through that spot.
And of course, set up your video camera because you need footage of this. So,
Alan, this is a non-lethal landmine here.
It is. It's such a gotcha. And I would like to tell all of the people selling Halloween supplies, would you please show your cashiers what you're selling?
What do you mean?
Please show your cashiers what you're selling. Of a friend of ours, looking at you, Joe, a friend of ours, me and you and everybody, we go shopping for some Halloween supplies for an upcoming show. And all I have to say is that when you walk up to the counter and you slap a big old bag of rats up on the counter.
They thought you were the exterminator.
And the cashier is unaware that your facility sells bags of rats. It can be very unsettling to said cashier.
And once again, make sure you got your video camera at the ready. So.
And to the young lady, we do apologize, and we hope the therapy works out well for you. Of, walking through a big back store just a week ago, you walk in and I literally are doing what we do. Since we do so many shows and stuff, you find yourself making weird calls.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm standing just inside the doorway of the big box store, and I'm on the phone, and I'm going, hey, they got bags of human heads for $9.95. Do we need another bag of human heads?
Right.
And, of course, the person coming in behind you hasn't quite seen the Halloween decorations yet, but here's your conversation.
Yeah, it's like, and pick up a couple dozen severed hands.
And is there a leg? Do they have a leg? Do they have the piranha skeletons this year? Last year, the Dead Mermaid was a big hit,
Right.
So the conversations you get to have this time of year are absolutely priceless.
Yeah, that's true. But one other thing, Alan, one thing I have become a fan of is these inflatables, basically, because what I like about them is the problem in the past was if you go whole hog with these decorations for Christmas and Halloween, well, you have to store them throughout the rest of the year,
Yes.
and they take up a lot of space. But with these inflatables, you have basically a little motor.
Yeah, it's a box.
But one word of caution with those people is don't just when it's time to pack them up and put them away, don't just grab them and
don't wad them up.
Don't wad them up, and you got to let them air out, because
Yeah.
if there's just a little tiniest bit of moisture on there and then you box it up, it's going to get funky. So what do you think, Alan? Just drape it somewhere in the sun. I'm a big fan of laying things out flat.
Yes.
Maybe over a fence or something, just to kind of really let them air out and then carefully fold them up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but they're great. I mean, they didn't have those when I was a kid. I'm on the fence about this 15-foot skeleton I saw at my big store. It comes apart, but
yes.
That's another one of these. It's still going to take up some room.
It actually packs down, but it's got some year-round ramifications.
Well, you just stick the Santa hat on it, and then you're good for Christmas too. So,
well, I will say this for last year's one of the big box stores. You can always tell that employee that's really not looking for a career.
Right.
Because Christmas began encroaching before Halloween was over.
Right.
So they began mixing the displays.
Oh, right.
It was morbidly humorous.
Well, I'm convinced they're going to just start skipping Thanksgiving promotions and just go straight from Halloween to
there's going to be a
Christmas.
sign in between the two displays that says, "Oh yeah, buy a turkey."
Right.
And move on.
Yeah, because it's not as commercial as,
I
But
feel
anyway.
so sorry for Thanksgiving.
Well, Alan, as we get closer to Halloween, we'll continue to weigh in on
Now,
some of
to
these.
put all this stuff up though,
yeah, okay.
you need a
Well, yeah, let's move over to our must-have item of the week. So I've already posted this on our Facebook page, but Alan, tell people what I'm holding up here.
You are holding up the infamous of Blade.
Well,
it's an actually snap off.
It's a snap off or breakaway razor knife. And what's interesting about this, I brought this in this morning, and Alan came in. And I said, here's our must-have item of the week. And he goes, oh, wow, I hate those things.
I
and I'm
really
like,
do.
Okay, I
can't stand
personally
them.
love these. These are basically a razor knife. I've got the size, Alan, the larger size, which is about the same size as a box cutter. but I like the fact that I can extend the blade, and for people that don't know, it's got these little grooves on it, and it makes it where once the tip of the blade gets dull, you snap it off and you move it up, and so it's sort of multi-use. And side note too, if you ever watch the anime called Attack on Titan,
yes,
their weapons are the blades look like this. Great anime, very violent though. Don't let your kids watch it. It's one of my favorites. But Alan, I love this, I think, and I always keep a spare, pack of 10 blades so that when they wear out, I can throw them out. But what don't you like about these?
The fact they snap off.
Okay. Well, what are you cutting with these things? I mean, also don't go nuts, people, and cut.
No. When they snap them off, what do your genius coworkers do with the little sharp metal shurikens of death?
Yeah.
That they snap off the end of the blade.
Oh, okay. What do they do? Throw them on the ground? Well, I will say this, in fairness, don't just, use this with caution because these things do break or the blade could snap and fly. They go flying sometimes.
Yeah,
so
not a fan.
But I'm going to agree with you on one level. These are not the best for really heavy duty cuts. I would stick with a box cutter for that.
Right.
But I like these. Like I work sometimes, Alan, where I've got to cut a lot of plastic or something like thin,
right.
And I gotta.
I'm gonna specify for very light duty cutting, especially gardening work or in the garage where it's contained.
Yeah,
they're pretty good. They're okay.
I actually use this.
Not a fan of them in industrial settings.
I actually use this in woodworking. This is a quick woodworking tip. When I'm cross cutting a piece of wood that's kind of a nicer wood, what I'll do is I'll score the edge with this. I'll put a little ruler on the side of it, and then that way when you cross cut, you don't get all those burrs and fibers and stuff.
Nice.
I learned that in shop class. Mr. Davitt, hats off. He taught me that in freshman year of high school. So anyway, the very divisive, I suppose, snap away razor knife is our Tool Talk Radio must-have item of the week, unless you're Alan Gilbreth, and then get something else.
You'd be getting a box cutter.
Okay. Well, Alan, this is going to be fun. We're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, we have a new segment. We're going to call it These Kids Today. There's a lot of mysteries in home improvement to the younger crowd. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989, and go to the Tool Talk Radio Facebook page and give us a like and check out some of the stuff we posted up there, and feel free to send us messages that way. We love to get them, and join the Tool Talk Radio crew. So, well, Alan, you were telling me about something the other day that kind of spawned a new idea for a segment. Let's just, for now, the working title is going to be called These Kids Today. I get a lot of that. I try to not be that way with my kids, but sometimes I am. The old, in my day, we had to do blah, 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 blah. But this is sort of interesting because in the realm of home improvement, and I'm really thinking of some of these older homes like maybe built around the turn of the century, like some of the Midtown homes. You can go to homes that are over 100 years old, or even some of these homes that maybe they're 60 or 70 years old. Some of these things, when you go to remodel the kitchen, or when you go to open up a wall or something, young people today, and I'm saying somebody under 30, they may not
be under
know
40,
what some
dude.
of these, they may not know what some of these accoutrements are. And you had an experience like that recently, didn't you?
Well, I mean, there's the obvious stuff. Anything built before like 1976.
Okay.
Well, you kind of assume there might be lead paint.
Well, yeah, and hopefully people do know about that, And with lead-based paint, I mean, you don't necessarily have to get the hazmat suits, but you don't want to kick up dust. That's
you don't want to be sanding that stuff and breathing it and that kind of thing.
Right.
I remember a few renovations where there was a lot of paint removal, and we knew some of the paint was before then, so it was just safer to assume it was all lead paint than to make the assumption that it wasn't.
Well, and the other part of that too, Alan, is if you're working on an older home, just disrupting something that's been sitting there for 80 years.
You don't know.
You don't want to breathe it in. So definitely wear your respirator.
We talk about 30 years of stupid. You might be dealing with 80 years.
Right. But let's specifically, there was one instance that you told me about with you had some young assistants helping you, and that's
they've had it beaten into them about the breaker boxes.
Right.
Leave those clear. Don't put anything within 36 inches. Don't put your tools in front of it. Don't obstruct. This is like day one. Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, keep good access to your breaker box.
Yeah, here comes one of them, and he is upset because somebody has bolted a breaker box closed.
Ooh.
So, in his mind, we found it. It's on the wall, and this thing's got screws in it. So, so he comes running to get me. And I walk up to it and I start kind of snickering.
Yeah.
Because, all right, A, he's not right, but B, he's on the money.
Well, if it was a breaker box, yeah.
It's a panel. It's panel metal. It's a panel door and all that kind of stuff. But he has absolutely no idea what's in it.
Okay.
Undo a couple of screws, swing it open, and he looks inside and he still has absolutely no concept of what's in that box.
Okay.
And it is an old style phone punch panel.
Okay. Now, what do you mean a punch panel? I don't know if I even know what that is.
It is, if you've ever seen anything with the phone from the 70s or 80s, they had these long metal bricks and you put the wires on one side and you punched it down and it connected to the wires on the other side. Okay. If you've ever driven by a neighborhood phone connection box, when the guys had it open, you will see rows and rows and rows of these things where the wires on one side were run out to the houses and the wires on the other side run in from the banks.
Right.
So, but he'd never seen one in a building before. And I was kind of like, all right, guys, if you think this is fun, wait till we get in the attic. Because you're going to find 256 phone wrap cables. And, I had a sample in my bag, and I said, it looks like this. And they're like, who needs that many wires? And I'm like, oh, no. And I said, you're going to see coax. You're going to see a lot of this. You're going to see a lot of that. And the frightening thing is, it dawned on me for like the last, 5-10 years, basically the only thing you really run anymore is Category 5 or Category 6 computer wire.
Okay.
So you get as much done in 8 or 16 wires as we used to get done in thousands.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because, you think of, and everything was just bigger, too, in those days. The wiring, everything.
It was so much more spread out. And, of course, we didn't really have any regulations as to how to run low voltage.
Right.
So you'll find it strung everywhere.
Yeah.
It's just draped. And the older the building or the older the home and the more times they had something done, the more dead wire you have draped every place.
Right, right.
And it really, they were kind of shocked and a little dismayed at the amount of work we were going to have to do to get this stuff out of there. But I was just kind of going, wow. I remember putting that stuff in. Now we're taking it out.
Yeah, it isn't that something? We've watched things come and become the biggest thing ever. I think a Blockbuster video, VHS, it's the biggest business ever. Then within our lifetime, it goes obsolete and it's replaced by something else. And I guess it's that way in certain home improvement applications. So that's going to be something we're going to be discussing regularly. These kids today, and let's face it, Alan, we may be victims of that soon too. We may, there may be things that we won't recognize in the near future. But anyway, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about volunteer opportunities, using your carpentry skills or other home improvement skills to help.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
Oh, I get it, Mr. Krabs. You told us the paint was permanent, so me and Patrick would be more careful and not get paint on anything.
Nah, I just like to mess with you.
News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer Carpentry and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, and our pal Maximilian behind the glass, who's really outdoing himself, Alan.
Oh, he's cooking it.
Good man. You can call or text us at the Big M Roofing and Remodeling Hotline at 901-683-0989. Alan, in a minute, we're going to talk about volunteer opportunities. You know, there's all sorts of ways. If you like to work with your hands, and even if you're not the most skilled, there's tons of ways to do that, and it's a lot more fun than you would think. But before we get to that, I want to, something else that might be a lot more fun than you think is replacing your roof. Believe it or not. Yeah. It's not
right.
the first
I wouldn't have believed you a couple
mind.
of years ago. Now I'm going to believe you.
I'm telling you, Alan, it's like, so basically one of the primary things is, for one thing, you want a roofing contractor you can count on, and somebody that's qualified, insured. They've got,
right.
Because this is a roofing system that's going on your house, and you better get somebody that knows their business. But the advantage with our buddy Jay Hill at Big M Roofing, not only are they GAF Master Elite installers, they're 5-star ratings with the Better Business Bureau, highly qualified, but Jay is a former insurance agent and knows, and so he knows exactly how the process works with making a claim. Because the big thing is, sometimes your roof, it may be covered by your homeowner's insurance, which is a huge expense that you're saving. So, I mean, you want to know that going into this thing. You don't want to be kicking yourself 5 years later going, oh my gosh, my homeowner's insurance would have covered this.
Well, the thing is, you pay for these benefits.
Yeah, it's like your auto. It's funny because Jay he's good about giving us a new perspective on things. He said, well, if you have coverage on your auto insurance and your car transmission goes out, there's a reason you have that, because that's sort of the whole point. Or if it's in an accident. So it's the same thing with your roof, and you need somebody that can help you navigate those waters. And Jay's just a funny guy anyway.
Oh, yeah.
And he knows everybody, and he knows this business. He's been in it forever. So get in touch with Big M Roofing and Remodeling. You can go to bigmroofingandremodeling.com or call Jay directly at 901-484-5645. And we'll be having Jay back on the show in the near future.
Oh, yes.
He's busy. Believe it or not, a lot want to.
Oh, my gosh. Everybody is so busy right now.
Yeah. So, all right, Alan, this is something I wanted to talk about because for people that are new to the show, they may be surprised to know I used to do mission work, Alan. I spent 2.5 years of my life doing volunteer work where I worked in the Mississippi Delta, using my carpentry skills to help, to help the poor, I'd build wheelchair ramps for maybe people that couldn't afford it, or just home improvements for people that couldn't afford it. And when I tell people about it, because I lived in a trailer, I made $150 a week. It was, some people would say that sounds miserable. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it was the most fun I ever had in my life. And but there's a lot of opportunities when you volunteer. It really is. It's more fun than you would think. And there's other volunteer opportunities. So let's talk about them, Alan. So
of course, if you have children,
right?
Instantly you're involved there. Generally, everybody has some form of community theater. But there's also a lot of stuff going on with a lot of community gardens, a lot of community reclamation programs and cleanup programs.
Yeah, that's true.
And, a project you kind of got involved, of a school setting up a chicken house.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Harding Academy called me too, because they turned their courtyard into a working farm to teach students about that. And I helped build a chicken coop in the style of Harry Potter, which, that caught my attention right away. Their professor over there, he's a big Harry Potter fan. So, but that was as random as you get. Yeah.
That's the point of, you never know what you're going to get into. And this is one of these things where I look at people and they go, oh, well, I don't know how to do anything.
Oh, please.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
If you just are willing to help, everything else can be taught to you.
Yeah.
Because the needs are going to change every single time. When I do stuff like, this fall, we're going to have dozens and dozens of community fairs.
Oh, yeah.
Great opportunities to volunteer, meet people. And you might even get to build a few things. You might get to put some stuff together. And as one young lady I know told me, she said, she had no knowledge of tents 3 years ago till the facility she worked at started having these kind of pop-up community days. Sure. And she said now she can build a instant pop-up tent in like 30 seconds or less. She is a master of every make, model, and brand just because she's gotten to do it.
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, and we're big supporters of the arts, like you said. And one of the projects I did, and believe me, people, if you volunteer for one of your local theaters or your high school theater or your whatever, if they're putting on a production, they will welcome you with open arms. They will buy you coffee. They will bring you steak dinners. They need help, and it's really a lot of fun. We helped build a couple of sets for my son when he was in theater in high school, and the thing is, people just sort of assume that this stuff happens. It's like, oh, well, my son's doing a play, and the set is just somehow going to get done. Well, it doesn't get done without people like us. And there's this tendency, I think, for people to just sort of assume somebody else is going to do it. And so when you step up and actually volunteer, boy, it's a big deal.
And you want a proud feeling when you get to see, the theater production, or you get to show up at the fair, or you get to go to the show. Yeah. And there's your work right there, front and center. It's amazing.
Well, and it's all the thing about it too, Alan, is all of these side things that you learn in this process. There's a lot of things you might learn about actually even theater and filmmaking. You might learn about actors, the way they approach their craft and all that type of thing. So it's just, and it's like you said, it's just a feel good type of thing. But if you're a contractor, especially, I would encourage you. I know you're busy. I know I'm busy all the time, but it's really, you're needed. Your skills are valuable. And especially these days, we don't have as many people working with their hands. So
no, we don't.
More than ever, we need some volunteers for that. So, and Alan, you volunteered. I'll give you credit. I give you grief. I know you I like to act like you're a cold-blooded whatever, but you've experienced this.
I've done lots and lots and lots of projects, and there is just nothing more fun and I've done a lot of wilderness reclamations, and those get to be, that's kind of like a nice day, nice walk in the park. You get to pick up some trash, clean up some stuff, but then now with wilderness reclamations, you might be building a trail.
Oh yeah.
You might be redoing a footpath. You might even be getting into planting indigenous plants.
Okay.
Which is really an education, because you get to learn that there's a lot of cool stuff that might be from your area. And, now suddenly, and I tell people, knowledge is never a bad thing. If you know a little bit more about what you're doing or walking through, it enriches the experience.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, because if you're out on a hike and then you stop and you go, oh, I know what that bush is right there.
I know exactly what that is. I know what this is. I know that, when you get in there, and especially like trail building, that is a little bit of carpentry, a little bit of shovel work, a little bit of hiking, a little bit of, it's amazing if you're halfway decent with a weed eater. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you, a battery-powered portable, and you can get in there and knock down some of the stuff before they get to it.
Yeah.
That's a huge, huge help. Yeah. Every little bit helps. Every minute you spend volunteering with a project.
Yeah.
It really pays off. And then it pays off again and again and again, because when you get to see somebody else enjoy it.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So that's our I don't know what we're calling this, public
that's our PSA, but this is the time of year where, if you've been trapped inside for a year and a half.
Right.
I hope you've had your vaccination, and go volunteer for something.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey, Alan, we're going to turn the corner in a second. We've got to introduce somebody. It's a new team member to the News Talk 98.9 broadcasting team. So,
and I love this guy.
We're going to be introducing him in a minute. But before we do, I want to introduce you to somebody else, Mike Sarafolian with Tri-State Interiors. So This is it, Alan. Kitchen and bathroom remodeling.
Oh, we love this.
That is, really, is there a bigger is there a bigger challenge to your life? Is there a bigger, remodeling?
Yeah, but these are the money makers.
These are the guys you really want to make sure you've got somebody qualified, confident, that knows what they're doing. What I like about Tri-State Interiors, for one thing, they have a huge reach. If you're listening to our show, even if you're 60 miles away, they service your area. So, but what's good about Mike Serafolian is they for one thing, they get all of your, they can do a what is that, Alan? It's a computer
a 360-degree landscape view of your project.
It's a virtual tour. They will put together a virtual tour of your kitchen, so you can look at it. You can download it on your phone or your computer, and you can look it over and you go, I want to change that countertop, or I want a new cabinet color.
I don't like that tile of cabinet. I don't like that style of handrail. And do it all virtually.
Do it all virtually.
Oh my gosh, wonderful.
Once they get it, they do not remove they don't do any demolition work until they've ordered all of the materials. So that's
it's arrived.
A big deal.
And it's
in
arrived.
Their warehouse stored. It makes it much more efficient. And it's just, they've got qualified installers. And that's a big deal because a kitchen remodel and a bathroom remodel is nothing to play games with. You got to make sure. Oh. And by keeping their overhead low, they focus on craftsmanship and a low overhead. And that's why you get great deals with Tri-State Interiors. So get in touch with Mike Serafolian. Good luck spelling his name. Just call Mike at 901-409-1333 or go to tristateinteriorsllc.com. You're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to introduce the new host of Motormouth Radio.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
This castle is in unacceptable condition! Unacceptable!
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
Gosh, you never want to hear those words on a job site, Alan. And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbert from Geeky Side TV and our pal Maximilian behind the glass. And in a moment, we're going to be introducing a special guest. But before we do that, Alan, we've been a little remiss. There's a lot going on at Geeky Side TV. That's another place you never really know what's gonna happen next and what sort of new content you're gonna find. So what is happening over at Geeky Side?
Well,
TV?
At Geeky Side, we're getting ready for a lot of new season 2 releases. But the biggest thing right now, of course, we're getting into Halloween. And we have
You've been saying that since June.
I know, but it's September now. It's here.
Yeah.
Pop over to geekysidetv.com and click on Scary Stories and listen to our mistress of haunted tours, Kalila, chat with people about their scary experiences.
Yeah. Are they really scary ones, or are these like...
These get pretty, let's put it this way. If you were in the story...
Okay.
Yeah, you'd have been chasing something through the house with a power tool. Let's put it that way.
All right, because Alan does deal with that stuff. He deals with ghost hunting and all of the other. But you're usually the one that comes in and says you don't have a ghost, you have a raccoon or an electrical problem, or you're Mr. Buzzkill.
I'm Captain Buzzkill when it comes to that. I do have more fun with cryptid hunting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look at our buddy Bud over here in a minute and see if I can talk him into going Bigfoot hunting or something with me.
Well, before we do that, how do people check out Geeky Side?
All they got to do is go to geekysidetv.com, or they can look it up on their Roku television, Fire Stick, or Apple TV.
Just go to Roku, type in Geeky Side TV,
That's
download
it. Pops right up.
Minutes. And,
yep.
And
it's a free subscription.
It's a free subscription. You get to see what Alan Gilbert looked like about 20 years ago. Slightly lighter colored hair and everything. So, all right. Well, speaking of people with slightly lighter colored hair, no, that's actually not true. Bud has dark hair.
Actually has hair.
He has hair. All right. Hey, we're welcoming our pal Bud to the show. Bud, hey, welcome on.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So, Motormouth Radio. We've heard these Motormouth minutes popping up. These are little 1 minute kind of promos, or not really promos. They're automotive tips, and this has grown into something that's going to be launching later today, man.
Yeah, when I came in here, Ditch found that I just wouldn't stop talking about cars. He's like, well, let's just put a mic in front of this. And he says he spends.
That sounds amazingly like Ditch.
Yeah, well, he spends a lot of time
at the. Never one to waste good content.
At the junkyard, and we just got to talking about cars. He was asking me some advice on on his Xterra that he's working on, and then I just kept going. And I've got a lot of background in automotive. I've spent a ton of time at car shows and been a mechanic for years on and off. So. And then I went ahead and got my degree in communications. I like to talk, so put the two together, I guess.
There you go. So, and you've got like a YouTube channel. You've been doing this a while. This isn't your first rodeo. And,
Absolutely.
And I've known you for a little while, Bud, and you've talked about doing a radio show. So the stars sort of aligned over here once News Talk 98.9 The Roar came online. It's the perfect Saturday afternoon show, man.
Oh yeah, and I've been certain that I wanted to talk about cars. The thing that's cool about cars when you go to car shows is you realize every car has a story. By the time you get to a car show and the car is 60 years old, it's changed hands a couple of times, and there's always something interesting to talk about with how the car got to where it is and what it's been through and what they've done to it. So it just kind of makes sense to get it on the radio and talk about some of these stories.
Well, there's a famous car show that we know well. I don't know if we can mention it here, but we're big fans of who would have thought you could have a talk radio show about cars? And, it run 25 years or something, maybe longer. So you're in the right mode there. But Bud, one thing when I was talking to you off air, you were saying there's going to be a little bit of a different emphasis. We know that you could divide this up, Alan. You got the car guys who are out there spending $100,000 to restore their 1970 Cutlass with whatever, and they know all the jargon and all the lingo. But then there's the average person like us that just needs some basic car advice. So what's your approach here, Bud?
Well, you see, I'm actually I'm planning on talking about this on the first episode here. Is I came up with this back when I was a mechanic, and there's basically two kinds of car owners. You've got people who own appliances and people who own like toys, or you can liken it to a pet. They give it a name.
Right.
It's a part of the family. They'll save it in a fire. Your kid calls.
Your
kid calls. I got into an accident. Is the car okay?
Yeah. This is.
Well, So, and there's nothing wrong with either one. The appliance owners, they just need it to work. They need to get to work.
Right.
They need to drive it, get groceries, and then they don't want to have to think about it. And that's fine, and that's what mechanics are for. Just here, make it work. Do the maintenance, and let me move on with my life, and that's fine. What I would like is to just I want more people to enjoy driving, because we all have to do it. We do it every day, do it all the time, and a lot of people feel like it's a chore, but it's actually, come on, we get to jump in a 3,000-pound metal machine and haul down the road at 60 miles an hour. How cool is that?
Yeah,
it's funny because I'm listening to Bud here, Alan. When Bud first moved to Memphis, I was taking him around, showing him the sights and everything, and we're sitting there. We're driving past the Peabody, or we're driving past the Mississippi River, and as we get to these landmark places, I'm like, well, Bud, over there, and before I finish the sentence, he's like, oh my gosh, look at that car over there. He's pointing out what I think is just sort of a normal, Mercedes or something. He's like, the rims on that thing are really, and you get excited because you couldn't care less about the scenery. Every car is like,
Also, I don't often get the opportunity to be a passenger. So I don't get to stick my face in the window and see the other cars on the road. I'm always driving. Right. So it's an opportunity to actually see. And the thing that took me aback with Memphis is there's a lot of cars from the 90s still on the road because they don't rust out. Up in Chicago, where I'm from, after about 20 years of rust, it's time to replace the thing. They end up in the junkyard, or they end up in someone's garage and they only come out for weekends.
Yeah,
so
I remember that.
So my 55 Dodge Royale.
Right.
Okay, there you go.
Well, that's true. We are pretty blessed down here in the South. We don't have those rusted. I see very few cars with rust on them. I mean, they have other problems, but that's not one of them. But rust is pretty insidious. So if you're not dealing with that.
Well, we don't have the salted roads and the general issues of 3 straight months of ice and snow and the wear and tear on the vehicle.
Yeah, they get it bad in Chicago because the snow packs up behind the wheel. And that big wad of just nasty just hangs there for hours, days on end, and it just shreds the fenders and uglifies the car.
Well, and the advantage from basically Memphis down and west is it gets drier.
Oh yeah, my favorite car came from Florida. I flew down when I got out of the Navy. I flew down to Florida to get my. I did spent a lot of time doing research on my what car I want. I love big heavy sedans, and I got a 2003 Mercury Marauder.
Okay.
They only made 11,000 of them.
Right.
And I had to have one, and I found one in Florida that was in amazing shape. So I flew down there and then drove it back. And that it hasn't touched snow. I left it in the garage all winter every year.
Well, okay, good.
I was insistent.
I think this is going to work well, Bud, because you, for one thing, you're teaming up with Ditch, who from Memphis Morning News and over there on his afternoon show at 98.1 The Max. And Ditch, well, for one thing, he's a radio guy, so you're in good hands there. But Ditch is sort of an eager student about a lot of this stuff. One thing I like about Ditch is he's always eager to learn things, and he's a quick study. But I'm assuming that you're going to kind of help him through some of these. He'll be asking the right questions, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, and I've got a lot of resources. Like even if I don't the thing with cars, there's just you can't know everything, and the most important part is just having your resources and knowing where to look and where to find your answers. And I'm definitely in with that for sure. And I love Mitchell guides and whatnot. And once you reach a point where you can read these and understand them, you can do anything. Once you understand the manuals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of what Joe and I go through with big box stores and stuff. As a matter of fact, of a lot of what I end up doing on Saturday afternoons. As a matter of fact, I'll be doing that this afternoon again. Is taking people about your age and walking them through the big box store and kind of going, all right, there are 4,000 different kinds of caulk. Let me explain why. And
yeah, I might have to get in on one of these classes.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be happy to take you, my friend. But just had to do just 2 weeks ago was a lawnmower. Mm-hmm. Young person just bought a house.
Lawnmower consultation.
Well,
I get paid for that
literally, bought a house.
Yeah.
And everything's closed and all that. Of course, they get there and the yard's up high and. All right, what do I need to buy?
What I'll have to do is pick your brain because I need to build my dream garage, and I don't know anything about construction. Cars I can do, but when it comes to building,
we so got this.
It's funny you mentioned that, Bud.
We so got this.
I could see we were on the same wavelength because I was thinking, one of the good overlaps here is I want to talk to Bud regularly about outfitting our garage the right way, making the right kind of workshop. What's worth spending money on? What's not so, So there's going to be a lot of overlap here with Motor Mouth Radio. That's what you're calling it, right? Motor Mouth Radio.
Motor Mouth Radio, and Ditch and I are the Motor Mouths.
Okay, cool. And that's airing later today, 1 o'clock here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. Yeah, we'll be tuning in with great interest.
Oh yeah.
So, that's gonna be good.
I'm looking forward to it.
Okay. What'd you just push, Alan? Anyway, all right. And Ditch will be on there, like we said. So, it's going to be good to have you guys together. Anyway, you're listening to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9 The Roar Memphis. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Tool Talk Radio with Joe and Alan.
I'm always thinking one step ahead, like a carpenter. It makes stairs.
News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from the Brown Refrigeration Studios. I'm Joe Thorderson with Thor's Hammer, Carpentry, and Wood Turning, here with my buddy Alan Gilbreth from Geeky Side TV, and our buddy Maximilian behind the glass, and our pal Bud from Motor Mouth Radio, which is going to be debuting today later at, 1 o'clock, right?
1 o'clock.
Awesome. Right after Geek Tank Radio. You
Perfect
might want to
time.
listen to those clowns.
Perfect time.
Great. There's really no reason to turn your radio off. Fire it up
Not
Saturday
today.
morning. Go run your errands. Listen as you go, and it'll get you through the day with a lot of fun. So, speaking of things that are fun, Alan, before we get back to Bud, I want to mention if you need a deck or a pergola or a patio cover or really anything made out of wood for the outside of your home, give me a call. It's a fun experience. I try to keep it that way. Anyway.
Well, we've built a few things together and enjoyed it. So
I'll be honest. One of the things I love about my work, Bud, is that doing outside carpentry. For one thing, I haven't been sick in like 3 or 4 years. I don't get sick. I get a lot of fresh air. I don't really interact with a lot of. I'm not in crowds, and
you're nowhere near humans.
And I'm getting a lot of exercise. But another reason I like the work that I do, Alan, is because I'm not getting these 2 o'clock phone calls that you get because a water heater exploded and you got to get down to the facility. I'm building things that people, they save a little bit of money and they're like, I want to build a deck, or I want to build a pergola or a patio cover. So they're generally a little bit more laid back. It's a pretty pleasant experience all the way around. So it's cool. So get in touch with me at you can give me a call at 901-921-7105 or visit my website thorshomes.com, and you can send me a message that way. And we just want to we're putting up the bat signal as well. We are assembling a team. We're assembling what I call the Justice League of Home Improvement experts, because here on Tool Talk, we want experts from all fields. We've already got some great sponsors, Tri-State Interiors, Jay Hill with Big M Roofing, White Kurt Realtors, and of course our buddy Larry Brown. But we need experts in all fields of home improvement. So if you think you have what it takes to be a part of the Tool Talk radio team, just give me a call directly at 901-921-7105. And actually, Alan, you know what we need? We also need some restaurants to jump in, because I'm seeing some crossover where we could maybe do some little appearances.
We
need to eat too. So anyway, get in touch with me.
And I never make food references.
Absolutely. 901.
I gotta start trying out these places in Memphis.
Oh, yeah. 901-921-7105. Well, as we said, later today at 1 o'clock here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis, we're debuting a new program, Motormouth Radio, with Bud and Ditch. I mean, does that sound like two car guys?
This is going to be on.
Yeah. So, Bud, tell us some of the things we're going to expect in the weeks ahead on Motormouth Radio.
Well, we've both got some projects going on. I'm probably going to get my Jeep Cherokee down here and start hammering on that thing again. And Ditch has been working on this Xterra, so we're kind of going to go through some of that. We're trying to get involved with some of the car shows. We know there's some car shows coming up with October. That's another thing I love about Memphis. Car shows can go on past September.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
For us, what is it, Memorial Day to Labor Day, and then after that, it's okay, wait till next year. But I'd love to get some more car shows going.
Let me give a free shout out, and I'm sorry, you guys, I don't remember the name of your car club, but I want to say, if you go to the corner of Walnut Grove and Germantown Road, there's a steak place, and there's a group of car. Who are they? They meet every Saturday. It's either every Saturday or every other Saturday, but they meet pretty regularly. And they pull up with some pretty nice cars, so you might want to check into that.
What some of these cities, Memphis included, and I had this problem in Chicago, what they need is like an all-inclusive calendar of events. You go online and you search up like car shows, and you'll get like this calendar for this location, this calendar for that. But like, at any given time, if you want to find one, there's no one-stop shop for your for all the events going on.
Let me put something in the suggestion box. Maybe Motormouth Radio could be your resource for the latest in the car shows.
Yeah, we can talk about what car shows we got coming up, and I'd love to talk to some mechanics, because during my time as a service writer, I found there is a huge disconnect between mechanics and car owners. And my lead tech used to joke that I was his interpreter, because not just because of the technical jargon, but there's a lot of folks think you just put oil in it and that's it. But there's so much else to talk about in terms of maintenance schedules and maintaining your car. And we kind of had this running joke about how cars either die at 120,000 miles or 290. Because either they're abused and neglected and they don't make it past that 120, or they're well taken care of and they last forever, or at least what feels like forever.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm thinking of something else, Bud, when I was talking to you. And I mean, feel free to accept or reject these this input from me. But when I'm talking to Bud, for example, I'll just be honest. We have Alan, we have a 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee that my daughter took off to college with her, and honestly, she was calling me all the time with different repairs that she needed. Well, she's 6 hours away, and a lot of times it was like I didn't know what the repair was, and it turned into sort of this constant sort of annoyance, I could say. So I grew to dislike this Jeep Grand Cherokee. Well, I brought it back to Memphis and showed it to Bud, and Bud looked it over and goes, this is one of the best engines you can get. I'm like, what?
It's got that 4.0 inline six. I love that thing.
He was talking about what a great vehicle this is, and then as he started telling me, I'm like, I actually really love this Jeep. And he changed my perspective, and you were showcasing all these, maybe the good in certain automobiles.
It
So
was
that
funny
might
'cause
be a good service.
People always wanted the V8 in those, but I always liked the Grand Cherokees. I love that inline six. That was originally produced by by AMC, and then they fuel injected it when Chrysler bought that company. And that thing it's bulletproof. It'll last 300,000 miles easily. And some will hit 400 if you take care of them right.
Well, the thing hadn't run in a year and a half because it was just sitting. Because she's at another vehicle. I had to tow it back. That's another adventure I'll talk about later. But once we got it running, and I was sitting there, we had the hood up, and Bud's sitting there pointing out all these things, and I'm listening. I'm like, this thing really does sound pretty good. We just need to clean it up. There's a few little,
Well,
we're gonna get those headlights.
Yeah, fix the
headlights. We'll talk about that. That's going to be on Motormouth Radio. I'm gonna put that on the YouTube as well. We're definitely making a video out of that one.
Tell us about that, because this is something that's super interesting, and I think this is a common problem here in the South.
Oh yeah,
this
so
project you're going to do on the Jeep.
I see a lot of yellow headlights. It's from the UV rays. It like basically degrades the plastic, and they sell these kits that like basically like almost dye it so it looks like new, but it doesn't last.
No.
When they are really yellow, the real answer is sandpaper and clear coat. You basically need to carve off that outer layer of plastic, and then you hose it with the clear coat, because that's going to block the UV rays, and it won't happen again. Your lights won't go yellow in not maybe 10 years, if that. That Jeep has probably got some of the worst headlights I've ever seen as far as that goes. So we're gonna do some before and after on that thing.
Yeah,
well, you see, there's so many overlaps between what we do and what Bud does.
Yeah.
And, he's talking about the headlamps and how, a little simple maintenance and this cool little trick suddenly solves your problem.
Yeah.
And we talk about the same thing with your siding, and we talk about the same thing with your deck. And, I know one of your favorite, in his case, he's saying put a coat of clear coat on it, and this is going to solve your problem. And on the flip side, I look at Joe and go, well, how about we go paint that new deck, and watch Joe twinge.
Oh, yeah.
Because he goes, no, don't do that. There's so many little tips and tricks to everything we all do.
Yeah.
So it really crosses over drastically.
Well, and I like that you're speaking to the average car owner too.
Yeah, and there's a lot of little things you can save yourself a lot of time and money if you just go out of your way a little bit. And I know, like I was talking about the appliance owners, they don't necessarily want to do that, but you still kind of have to. Car ownership is, I hate to sound
maintenance
with that
is
responsibility
maintenance.
thing.
That's all you got to say. It's maintenance and accountability and micro decisions. I'm going to throw that out there for both the average homeowner, the average decorator for holidays, and car owners. There's a lot of micro decisions people make along the way. Well, maybe I'll fix that later. Maybe I'll get this later. Maybe I'll change that oil later. Maybe I'll change that filter later.
It can go another week.
And oh my gosh.
I mean, I got to be honest, mechanics love that guy.
Yeah. And I just had a case where controller arm.
Oh, okay.
All right, broke. Yeah, I'm hearing it rattle. All right. Don't wait. Please don't wait. Don't wait till you tear up something else.
Yeah, especially suspension. You never know.
Get it in there now. And a very minor repair remained a minor repair.
Yeah.
And advice to anyone seeking solutions to those problems. I made a Motormouth Minute about this. If you have that car guy friend that everybody has, that as soon as the car starts making noise, you go to them for help. Don't describe the noise. Just give them the keys and let them go figure it out.
Yeah.
I've had so many. Yeah. What is that? It's the give me the keys. Just give me the keys.
Yeah. All I need to know is basically where is the problem
and when does it do it? When you're accelerating, when you're stopping, when you're turning. What is it? Does it have to wait till the car warms up? But even then, just give me the keys and let me figure it out.
Well, another crossover I'm seeing, because Alan, you're the pickup truck guy. You're the friend that has the pickup truck, so everybody calls you when they need to move. Well, Bud, you're the car guy. You're the car friend. So what's that like? Does it ever get annoying when you see the phone? You're looking at the caller ID and you're like, oh gosh, I know what he's calling about or something.
What always kills me is people think that because you have a couple of cars and you have a lot of fun fixing them,
right?
That you'll have fun fixing their car for them. It's like, hey, I know you planned on dropping that engine in your muscle car this weekend, but hey, you want to do the brakes on my Toyota Camry? You have fun working on cars, right?
Yeah.
Beer and pizza, right? That's all it costs.
Right. Oh yeah, we
you know, as a similar case is like, all right, well, this door doesn't work. Show me, just show me.
Yeah.
All right, well, this is why it doesn't work. Well, all right, you see this huge big crack right here? How long has that been broken? Oh, I don't know. Like, I think we know what's wrong with the door. I know where to start now.
Well, this is going to be great, man. But it's going to be cool, and I'm hoping we'll have a lot of crossover. I think we will. Maybe we'll drop in on Motor Mouse. Maybe you can be dropping in here. But tell people when, give us all the info. How do people stay in touch with you? How do they follow you?
Yeah, well, we're on 1 p.m. right here on News Talk 989, the Roar of Memphis, and then you can follow me on Twitter at Bud Motormouth, and I've also got a YouTube channel. It's a little neglected right now, moving down here to Memphis. That's Thordy's Garage on YouTube.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So yeah, it's airing today. That's going to be a lot of fun, man. The Saturday lineup is really
shaping up, man.
And that doesn't even include, we're about to jump into Tigers football season, which is going to be great. So I don't know, man. I'm very excited about
Just need to let Ditch know about that cooking show I need.
Yeah, there you go. Well, anyway, you've been listening to another fast-moving and action-packed episode of Tool Talk Radio, coming to you from News Talk 98.9, the Roar of Memphis. But we're out of here, you guys. So on behalf of my friend Alan Gilbreth and our buddy Bud and Maximilian behind the glass, I'm Joe Thorderson. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.